Yeah. So good evening, everyone. Trust we had a wonderful day. Okay, so I guess we've gone a bit. We've done a lot in SQL. So let's just go through. See what we have done so far, especially in the last class. So I think, yeah, was that this? No, not this. Okay, I think we are done with joints. Last class was more like subqueries and yep. So just to recap of what we did in in the last class. So we delved into concepts that is referred to as subqueries, and I explained first of all what a subquery is. So subquery is basically running a query inside another query. And the order of operations is that the subquery run first there and before the outer query. So it's more like there's an inner query and there's an outer query. So the inner query runs first before the outer query runs. So the outer query needs the inner query to run first before running. And this comes in handy when we need to work on um, when we need an information and we can get that information through a query. So probably need to just run that, use that query and append it into the larger query. I think wait, hold on. Okay, yes, so this was more of like multiple statement, journey multiple statement. I think oh yeah, I've started with demonstrating I think I wanted to see if we can merge all five tables. That's from the Agile class components where we have branch supplier, client, employee, and works with. So we're trying to merge all five tables together, and I think we came out the roadblock, but we're able to merge four. Then we now went on to talk about subqueries. So this is an example of a subquery. So let me see, is it possible to run this query? So this is a subquery, is a query inside another subquery, but let me see if I can run this. No, that would not work. Oh, sorry. Let me try it again. Let's see if it works. Yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, it does. So just to show you like what's going on here. So I'm trying to run this first query here. So this query is supposed to return an employee ID for David Wallace, and we use that to find all his supervised C, all the employees that is currently supervising, using the supervisor ID. So that's what this does. So just running this alone, you get 100. And when you now run all of this, you're going to get all the clients or all the employees that are currently being supervised by this guy here. And that's why you see it here. So it comes in most of the time when you need to apply a filter. Not always. Sometimes it can come in inside your select statement. Sometimes it can come in your WF filter, but most of the time it comes in the WF filter. So we went on to check something. So I think the best way to go about it is just running the first one, and that's this. Yeah, so yeah, okay, so the implementation of this, right, was hard coded. So hard coded means we had to put in the values itself. So because we knew that David, this employee ID, his first name is David and his last name is Wallace. Now we are assuming in this place that we want to select the manager ID from the branch, where the manager ID is not stored, because if you don't include this, there's a particular branch that doesn't have a manager ID, and we have to order it by manager ID. So what comes first is the manager ID, and we have to limit the results by 1. So limiting the result by 1, we only return a single output because we are using an equals to sign here. If you were using an in, you could decide that, oh, you don't want to limit this. So if you don't limit this, you're going to have, I think, 3 results. Yeah, I think we can see it. So they're just run it. Yeah, so you're going to have 3 results. Then when you use in and you run this, you're going to get every employee that has a supervisor ID in this. So if I run this now and run this, yeah, so we are going to get every employee that has a supervisor ID, that has a supervisor. If you notice now, there's a supervisor, there's a employee that's missing from this table. That's David Wallace. David Wallace has no supervisor. It's like, let's say, the first person to enter into the company, something like that. So if I change this back to equals to, and I run this, see, it's supposed to give me an error. Yeah, because I'm using an equals to, and an equals to is supposed to take in just one single value, which is why we have to use limits here 1. So this guarantees that this is going to return just 1 result. Then when you call everything now, you get just the employees that are currently being supervised by David Wallace. So yeah, that's pretty easy. Then we went on to discuss the order of operations. So the order of operations is select, from, where, group by, order by, limits. Yeah, so this is like the basic where, and this is the order at which they are arranged. You can't take from and put it over select, neither can you take from and put it behind. No, you can remove some. For instance, I can try to remove these 3. Well, this is still going to be it, but this is the order in which they have to be arranged. Then I think basically we're just demonstrating. Here we use 2 subqueries. So this is subquery, this is another subquery, and they are all embedded inside this query. So that's like 2 subqueries, two sublevels. Let me put it that way. So we went on, yeah, and this was the last task. We had a task of bringing all the data together. So we decided that we want to check the first name, the last name, the branch of the employee, also the client's name that the employee works with, how much they generated, their supervisor's name. You can see a first name here and a last name here. So yeah, basically that was where we left off last week, and we are going to be kicking off from there today. Yeah, so but do we have, is that a clarification? Anybody wants to ask any question before we zoom before we continue? Anybody? Okay, so the absence of none, let's proceed. So today we are just going to be eating off on we're just going to be starting off and taking off from where we stopped, like I said. So yeah, so let's bump it. So I have a different thing. Probably we'll get the data set to work with, but before then, I want us to go through some things. So is this today? No, this is by mistake. Okay, so let's use this. So things I want to show us regarding date time. I don't know if you remember concatenate from Excel. Concatenate is part of it. Then think date time. Then also there's self join. Right, I think I have a list somewhere. Yeah, date time. Then a case statement. Yes, I was trying to try. Now then we have a case statement. So I'll go ahead to explain one after the other. But I would like us to start with concat. So let's start with concat. So I'm sure we are familiar with the statement concat, concatenate, what it means basically. It's not a new thing. So it comes in handy. Also from Excel, we can also perform concatenations um in SQL. Yeah, we can write queries to concatenate two things together. And so I'll just go straight into the implementation. So let's see. So yeah, a good example is the employee data we have been working with. I think it's high time we change that data. What we have worked with it over. So looking at this employee data, so we have first name and last name, and I think that's a good time to concatenate the first name and the last name together. So just to demonstrate how it works, I'm just going to pick the employee ID. Well, first of all, let's just call concat. So it's just concat. Then what you want to concat, the things you want to concat together: first name, then last name. I'm having trouble saying words. So then the last name. Now so let's just run this and see what happens. Now you can see that the names are concatenated together, but there's no space in between them. So what do? We could add a space by just saying putting a comma here. So this already is an empty space. This is not a space until you put space in between it. So running this now automatically puts David Wallace. You can see it now has a better structure. So that's more like simplified way of I don't think there's anything difficult there. Just wanted to show you what it means so you can easily. So in this part where we had just manager first name and manager last name, you could actually use it here. So rather than say empty as first name, manager last name, you could just write a concat. I will concat both together. So we could say empty dot first name v comma then empty dot last name, then yes, that does it. Okay, yes, space, don't forget that space. Then you need to take this out since we're doing it again, and yeah, we need to rename it. So we could say manager's name. Of course we need to what's this? Oh shoot. So let me see. Manager, then use double. So what happened there was a single quote here. So putting a single quote here, it was more of like 3 quotes in that case. So I had to use a double quotes and use a single quote into this place. So if you run this now, you're going to see that the manager. So we could also do the same to the first name and the last name. So we could just take this out and say just enclose this. Does it work? I do always forget. So you could just enclose this, enclose it into a concat, right? Then put a space in between, comma, sorry, space, then comma. Then you could rename it as employee's name, employee. So if I put this name, I have to enclose this in a double quotes, and that does the trick. So running this now, you can see it's now more compressed together. So that's more of like an example using Concat. So should I copy this? Okay, let me just copy this to the new copy. Then today paste it here. So I can go ahead and undo it here. Control Z. Okay. We're back on track. Yeah. So that's basically Concat. There's nothing really much. It's not really difficult to use. Also, we have date time. So I think we have date time in employee. Just select this. So we have date time in the employees database, or in the employees table, and here it is. Yeah, so I finally found the shortcuts to run this automatically. Of course, I knew the one for pgadmin, that was F5, but for my SQL workbench, it's Control Enter. So you could, I think, if I'm here and I press Control Enter, it automatically just, I don't need to come all the way up here. I think if I'm here and I use Control Enter, yes, that works too. Let me see. What if I do this and Control Enter? Yeah. So you could just highlight or place your cursor, then press its Control Enter. So it's going to run the query you're trying to run. It's going to run the query anyways. So yeah, back to that. So I was trying to talk about date time, basically date. This is not a date time, it's just date. So we could extract meaningful information from the dates, from columns where we have dates. For instance, we have birthday here. We could easily extract meaningful information from there. And so let's do something. So I'm going to copy this concat, right? So put it here, comma, no, change the name as name. Then so from birthday, one thing we could take out is we could take out the year. So to take out the year, all you have to do is call here, then put the birthday, the column inside, which is birthday, and close this. So if you check this and you run this, you find out you have birthday. So we can just format this as we are going. As soon as we are done, we can see the year. So with this, you can easily perform operations with just the year. For instance, maybe you need year that's maybe from 1970 to 1980, right? So we could just do where year so let me change this to capital Y and so capital Y. So where year is so we can say where here is greater than equals to 90, 70, and year is less than or equals to 90, 80. Sorry, I'm used to going up there. Okay, so it's saying unknown column here. So rather, we just have to pick everything, right? And use that in place of this, and place of this, and yep. So here we go. So we can see the clients, or sorry, the employees, that their birthday lies between 90, 70 inclusive and 90, 80 inclusive. So they are just 4. So these are so that's the way we can extract the year, right? The year from the date time. Another way we can go about that, we could extract the day, right? So just take this out, then so we don't want year, so we want the day. Yeah, so the day, then as day. So just run this. It's still coming up here. So the day here, you can see the day now. You can see 17. So it has extracted the day. So let me add the birth date of. So we are going to have birth underscore day, comma, and yeah, so we can see that it is corresponding. In fact, we could have everything here. So this is extracting the day. So let me add the year back. So year as birth underscore day as year, right? Then months to also follow the same syntax. You can tell. So we have months, then we have birthday as months. Now I can see this is getting too long already, so the best thing to do is just bring this down, structure it in a way that looks easy to read. So you can see it now. So you can see the select statements, concats, but so originally, that these are the columns that you're going to be expecting to see when you structure it this way. And when it comes out, here you go. So you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 columns, right? So you can see it's birthday, year, month, and day. So assembling this back should also not be a problem. Can use concat to do that back. So you could just add, so let's just say you want to assemble it back. So just call concat. Of course, this is more like it's not supposed to be, but let's see. So we use this. Then you had a dash, and to do that, you use a dash. I'm just going to add the months again. And as year months. So this should work. Let's see what's missing, what's going on. Okay, I think here months the syntax in SQL. So what we'll do instead is put it like this. Still seeing it. Let me see. Okay, year dash months, then enclose this. Yeah, so let's run this. So you can see it now. We're almost having something like this. I just had to stop and not include the rests. So this is just showing you the possibility of extraction for time. So for instance, you need to work with, oh, there's not even time yet. So maybe I think I have a data set. Well, when we get there, we'll try to work on something that has to do with time and all of that. Well, you can see an instance of extracting the year, the months, the time, and the day. Sorry, the year, the month, date. Although there are other things that could be extracted. For instance, okay. For instance, the day name. You can even see it here. The day name, the day of month, the day of week, the day of the year. So let's just pick the day name and add it here. Let's day as day underscore name, comma, and so you can see how easy it is for me to even add more columns, right? I don't need to manage a long list of things, and so my work is ordered. Yeah, so you can see the day name, Friday, Thursday, Sunday. So you could also use this for your analysis to say, oh, okay, maybe I want to run analysis on all these things that has to do with Sunday, or all the things that has to do with Friday, or you want to group everything, you want to group by the day name. So you can see, maybe you want to know the total number of sales for each day, something of sorts, right? So you could do that with day name. Let me see, there's also months. I think months is just months. Then here is year. Yeah, here is just year too. Oh, sorry, I think supposed to auto complete. Okay, yeah, there's month's name, so you could also get the month's name, and do that. Let me see, did I clean? Okay, here it is. Sorry, let me undo this. See here, so you could also get the month's name, and let's do it under here. So month's name from birth underscore day as months underscore name, and comma, sorry. So running this, you also see that you have the month's name from November. So as something similar you can do with the day name, you can also do with the month name. You know, when you're doing it with the integers, of course you might need to translate this by yourself by saying, oh, 11 is November, 5 means May. But with this, that's been done automatically for you, so you don't need to actually start converting it one after the other. So any questions? Do we have any comments? Any comment from me? Ayobami, Pearl, and Rashid, Kingsley, not only. I guess it's pretty easy, right? It's not as complex or complicated as joins and subqueries. Okay, I really hope we're getting it. So having done this, right? So as we go further, you begin to see more as the need arises. For instance, I was talking about time. So you could get time, you could get hour from time. Like all you know to do is call the hour and you pass your variable into it. You could also get minutes, you could get seconds, you could even you could convert from one timestamp to another. For instance, we have sorry, let me close this. For instance, we have UTC We have, which other one do we have? We have CEST. Yeah, I think I've seen that. We have Pacific time. That I think PT. Yeah. We have GMT. I don't know if GMT is still in touch. We have GMT, then we have Watt, that's West African time. So like you could also convert with these timestamps, but we don't have a time data in this, so just hold on that. Now so I've talked about date time. Self join. Okay, let me go to case statement first. So case statements, how do I describe this? So the case statement is similar to what we had with Excel when we're dealing with conditional functions, where we have to do if this, do this, if not this, do this, else do this. I don't know if you still remember. We are back to it again, and the case statement is as simple as it's, like I said, it's just a logical statement that if something is true, do this, if something is not true, do this, right? So I think I'll just go straight to the example so that we can see how it is, since we have done some of these things before, so it's easier just explaining and implementing. So let's do something with year, right? So we want to, let's say we want to categorize the year column. So we are going to need the year. So let's say I'm just copy all of this one here. So coming down here, so I have this, so I just need a year, so I'm going to take everything out, right? Even the birthday I don't really bother to leave it anyways. Now so the case statement is like, what we want to do now is the year. We want to categorize the year into two parts. Let's say, okay, let's say 3. So if you are, so we are going to do it to middle age, old age, and wait, what's the other one? We have middle age, we have old age. What's the last one? Can anybody remember? I don't know. You can remind me. But the point is, we want to split the age into 3 sections, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to write the statements and include it in our SQL statements. And to do that, it is called case. So actually I should be using case. Yeah, so case, the column name, and the column name here is actually going to be this, right? Case this, let me check again. I think case when, then else. So case when year is equals to, or how should I put it? Okay, so let's say when year is between a value and a value, right? So it's going to be when year when the year of the birthday is greater than or equals to, so I'm doing old age first, so I'm going to say, I think we have 90, 60 something, so I'm just going to say from 90. So if you are, do we have 1954 here? Yes, we have 58. So if you are below 1960, so less than 1960, then, so if the year, so I think when, right, I'm not sure. So the case, the year birth is less than 1960. So if it is less than 1960, Then what do I want to do? I'll call it old age. I think I'm supposed to have if it's actually supposed to be when here. Yes. So case when this is less than this, then this. Then I move on to, I think I should have a comma. Then when year is greater than, still having let me see, oh sorry, comma, skip that, and there should not be a comma here. Yes, so when year of birth is greater than 1960, so I have to include 1960 here, inclusive. So when the year of birth is greater than 1960 and it is less than 90 70, then what do we call it? Call it middle age. Sorry, middle age. Then when the year then birth, I think I can paste it, yeah. Then when the year is, oh, this is supposed to be when year of birthday is greater than this, and the year of birthday is less than this. Yes, then this. Then when the birth year is actually just, let's say, greater than, yeah, we're supposed to include this, so that's less than or equals to. So then we say when the year of birth is actually just greater than 97, so that means your the age is above 90 70. Then what do we do? Then a young age, let me just put young age there. Young age. Now, so I've included everything. Then I have to include an else statement, so that if it doesn't meet this criteria, for instance, now if the year of birth is not greater than 1970, let's say, of course, the year of birth will always be a year, so you can expect that it will be among this. Okay, you could say that, and the year of birth is less than or equals to 1990. So if you are not within this age range, then let's say too young, so you say that the person is too young, so I think it is else too young, too young. Then we need to end this, and to end it we call the end statement, right? I actually think so. When we end it, we need to end it as because this is going to be a new column, so we are going to create a column to it, and let's say eligibility. I don't know if I spelled it well. Eligible. I think there's an I. Yeah, so let's see. It's actually much. So you can see now that on we now have a column that states what we just did here. So everything we did here. So I'm going to explain this again. Don't worry. But I just wanted to focus on what we have in the result first. So the idea was, if you are below 9060, then you are going to be termed as an old person. If your age is from 1961 to 1970 inclusive, you're going to be termed or tagged as middle-aged. Okay, I'm supposed to put middle-aged, old-aged, I don't know, young age. So if you fall between 9070, where's it again, 9060 and 961 and 9070, then you'll be tagged as middle-aged. And if you fall from 1970 to 1990, you're going to be tagged as young age. And if your age does not fall within this range, right, that means if it's not lesser than this, if it is not within, maybe you're coming from 1400 to this, if it does not fall within this anyways, you're going to be tagged as too young. Now we have covered, in this case we have covered a situation where maybe you are too old. The person put like 1400 is way too old, so we could even include that oh, if you are, because this will say this includes that anything that is less than 1960 means old age. So if you are from 5000 BC, it's going to tag you as old age. If you are within this range, then you're going to be tagged as middle age. If you are within this range, you're going to be tagged as young age, then else you'll be too young. Now let's see how we got here. Let's look at the implementation again. So first of all, I think neglecting these parts, right? So since this was what we brought from previous queries, looking onto this part. So when I started this, I started with case. So I think if I'm going to even restructure this, I could have it like this. Yeah. So a case statement, like I said, it's more of like you're trying to include a logical, a conditional statement. Yeah, sorry, a conditional statement, right? And you're going to you want to actually use that to create another column in your view, what you want to see. So it begins with a case and it ends with end as, because we need to name it. You can say eligibility here is what's the same as here as eligibility, so you have to have this here. Then what you now have inside the syntax is when a statement is true, then do this. When this, I usually use and is a logical statement. So when this and this is true, then what, do this. Also this one, when this and this. So basically it's just, you can enclose this into one statement. So I think I can put a, to show that it's a single statement, I can enclose this. Yeah, I'm still going to run. So I'm enclosing it, so I have to do that. So you know that all of this is a single statement. So when all of this is true, then do this. So if this is not true, and this is not true, and this is not true, that is when this last one is going to be evaluated. For instance, let me check. I like to see my if I have an age that is greater than 9080. I mean 9080, 9080, 9080. No, we don't. Everything stops at 9080. Okay, so I was going to actually change this. Sorry. Let me just come to class. So I was going to actually change this, but it's like, okay, I can just do something. So let's say from 1970 to 1970 72. Yeah, let me just have this. So if I run this, you can see that we have too young. So it's showing that 1980 is too young. 1973. Okay, let me make it 1975. So you can see we have too young. So the way it works is the first one we actually run first. If it is true, then it will execute this. If it is not true, it will move on to the next statement. If the next statement is true, it will execute this. If it is not true, it will go on to the third one. If the third one is true, it will execute this. And finally, if none of this is true, then this will now be executed. So that's the order for the conditional. That's the way it works. It's how should I call it? Simplified enough. Very simple. It's not complicated at all. So you could in place of where we were doing where we had to do month name, day name, year, month, right? We could actually do this manually, right? You could say, oh, if the month is 1, then it will be January. If the month is 2, it will be February. But that's like manual. That's actually not logical, right? So that's just one of the places you can use it, but not just that, right? It's not, you already have a function to that, you already have a way to do that, so you could just use it somewhere else. And yeah, so that's it simplified. There's nothing more to it, right? Do you have any question? Is it well understood, or should I go over it again? Okay, Abdurrashid, you can go first. Oh, okay. So this year, right? Let me change this to capital letter Y. So running this, let me just run it again. Now this year is actually converting the birthday. This year is extracting the year from this birthday. So if you remember this part of the code, so I think I can do something like briefly, and let me take this out. Now if I run this alone, you're going to see that I'm not running this. I've commented it out, so it's from here to here. So now this year birthday is extracting the year from the old information, from the old date, only the year. Now the reason why we are now using it here is because we need just the year, which is why I say which is why it was written like year, then birthday, if it is less than 9060. Of course, there's an old-fashioned way to write it, and the old-fashioned way, or the less optimized way to write this, will be to remove the year, right? Then when I'm writing 9060, I have to write it in full. So it's going to be like 9060-01, that's January-01. So I'm going to have to do it like this and do it for the rest, and yeah, so it will work that way too. So the reason why we have year after the birthday or before the birthday is to extract the year information from the birthday. I don't know if that's clear enough. Do you get it? Is it clear now? Alright, you're welcome. Okay, Ibami, can go ahead. Well, so there are two types of mistakes, right? There's the syntax error. So the syntax error is going to be when you actually are not using the right syntax. Sorry. For instance, now, if you are using okay, let's say I make a mistake and I use, so let's say instead of then I used D, I'm going to get an error. I'm going to see it on my screen straight up that there's an error. If I try to run this without even looking at it, I get a bug here. So that tells me straight up there's an error. Now there's that type of error, and there's the other type of error that comes from the input. So for instance, now if I change this to 9070, I flip this the other way around, and I have 9060 here. This will work, it's going to run, but I won't get my desired result. So you are only going to see that this is going to be affected. You're only seeing too young, young age, too young, young age. We are not seeing middle age. Neither are we seeing, okay, we are seeing old age, but we are not going to be seeing middle age because we have flipped the results. So it is not going to be normal. If I make a mistake here and I put greater than, you can expect what will happen. Everything in this place is going to be old aged, except the last one. This one flips the other way around. So this one is lesser than 1958. So the system, the syntax saw it as, oh, when anything that is greater than 960 is old age. All this one is greater than 960 is greater than, you can see. So this will cover for that. And else too young, that means if it is not greater than 960, if it's lesser than, that's why this 1958 is too young. You can see that that's a mistake from the user or the system admin, a person trying to write the script. So that's coming from the person. So that's the two types of errors, or two type of, yeah, I think I'll call it errors. So one is input error and one is syntax error. So syntax error is, for instance, I mixed up the syntax. Let's say I used so when I have then here, let's say I removed it and I come to put it here. It's an error, a big error, because what you have it then, you're not supposed to have something like this. Oh, let me see. Let me remove this. Let me be very tricky. Let me see. And then remove everything. Let's see. I still give an error. Can see it. So it's saying this. You can see that this is even highlighted. That's okay. There's an error in this place. Check it out. Right. So that's that's one of the advantage of using this RDBMS tools. It helps you debug your error. If you were writing your script in shell, I think I have shell here. So look at this part. I don't know if you can see my screen, but if you look at this is a Python shell where I'm going to be writing I'm going to be writing scripts, right? So yeah, I'm just going to be selecting. Sorry, why is it not writing? Okay, it's never supposed to. Well, okay, I think this is it. Snippets, iterates, show schema. Yeah, but basically this is an example of a shell. I don't know why it's not accepting my commands. But well, this is the way it's supposed to work. You just write your shell inside and your database is working, and you're working with this already. So basically that's how it works. I think I can pull shell here. So I think my SQL, sorry, sudo my SQL, is 9 access, no password. Password is okay. I can't remember my password safe. But basically I was thinking I could grant us access to C shell. Maybe I'll check it if I remember where it is. But I'm sure you get the idea. You understand it now, right? Okay, alright, good. Okay, so let's see, is this still working? Yes, it is. I need to confirm that it's still working. Okay, so this is just an hey, wow, I don't think my SQL like me going out of it. That's gone off again. Oh my god, I don't know if it will start all over again. I don't know. Workbench, it's not start again. Oh my god, it's gone. Everything we did is gone. Oh, it's here. Oh, that's good news. Okay, so let's continue from here. So I've talked about concat, I've talked about date time, I've talked about case. Now let's go on to self join. um Now what is self join? We did join the last class and we have to join two things together, multiple different tables, right? And so self join comes in when you need to join the table. You are joining a particular table to the same table, so it's more like you're joining a table on that same table. But the reason why you're joining is because you actually need an information. I'm just going to go ahead and do a simple implementation of self join, right? So self join, if you remember from join, so let's say select a table. So let's say select all from employee, sorry, from employee as E, and we are joining. So you actually join on employee too, but you call it another name. You put another alias to it. That's very important. Now you can say on. Now they both have the same thing, so which is employee ID. You still remember. Then c dot employee dot id. Now we can now decide to call. I think if I run this all together, that's what you're saying. C dot, oh sorry, employee ID. Yes, so you can see that it's appending both informations together. But I don't need everything, so I'm just going to say, I'm just going to show you that I'm picking the first name from this employee, right? As I'm picking the last name from the one with E. Then from the one with C, I can pick the salary. And what else can I pick? I can pick the supervisor ID and run this. So you can see that it's pretty much almost similar to the basic join, but like I said, self join comes in handy. Sorry, like I mentioned earlier, self join, it comes in handy when you need when for instance your work must have been so complicated, and or you probably have joined a lot of tables and you need an information, particular information from that table. You need to actually join the same table to the same table, like join the tables together, because of the goal is to extract information, right? So if you have no reason to do that, then you should not do it. And also the word self join, you can see it's not like I have to do a syntax and say self join. It's still join, but it's the idea that is called self join, that you're trying to join same table to you're trying to join the table right together, but you need to extract information from it. That's why you're doing it. I can't get an example right now, but I'm sure along the line as we go forward you'll be able to pick one and see how we can implement it. So that said, basically covered what I planned. So that's concat, datetime, self join, case statement. So just recapping, you can see concat is simply just adding two statements together. Okay, wow, this was not recording. So basically had two statements together, and with the you need to include how you want to do it, how you want to add your statements together. So is it a comma, is it a space, is it a dash? You need to put it in between what you're adding together. Then I think we demonstrated that with one of the works we did from last week. So this was large. Did I not? Okay, so this is actually much. So just to house cleaning or housekeeping, okay, yeah, it's more better like this. And for this join, I think we can have it like this. So you can see it better this way. We actually did a lot last week. Yeah, we did a lot of joins and all of that. So here you can see it, and yeah, so this part and this part, yeah. So then we went on to check extract informations from the year, the month name, the day name, and I also mentioned that there are other ones, right? Like I think there's year month. Okay, there's year week. There's, let me see. I think there's month name. Then there's day of the week. There's day of the month. There's day of the year, and there's day name. So you could also extract these meaningful information. I also talk about time. We couldn't go there, but I'm sure when we get the data sets as that, we'll work on that. Then we went on to talk about case. I mentioned that case is more of like a conditional statements in Excel. You'll get to see more of that anyways. So that's what case is, and the syntax is this. It's all covered from here to here. And here we have self join, merging the same table together and creating an alias, right? Making sure the alias are different. That's how you distinguish between the tables. That's how you put a distinguish to it. So you can easily distinguish that, oh, this is this, and this is this. With that being said, so I think what I have left is just for us to practice. I have some data sets, but before then, do we have any questions? Anything before we zoom off from here? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. So that being said, now let's go off to where we get our data sets and uh, get data sets from there. Or before then, I think there was a particular class we downloaded one data set that was a Netflix data set, and for some reason I don't know why it didn't import it, but I tried it again and it worked. I think it was Eunice that brought it to my told me about it, so I looked upon it, and so I'm going to import it into this table, right? The agent class, or I could just create a new schema for it. So all I have to do is let's do it the manual way. So create schema. What's the name of the schema? Netflix. Then create the schema. So the schema has been created. Close this. So here we have Netflix, right? Now we can import it into the data with this. So I'll just choose the location where it is on my system, and document link here, archive. Sorry, I'm not sure if it's there. No, it's not this. I think I have another one. Archive. Yeah, here is it. So so we have next, and we're going to create a table here. So we create it on this schema, and we change the name to just Netflix, and next, and next, and next, and show logs. Yeah, so you can see that it's important. CSV stands for comma separated value, like CSV. So it means comma separated value, but it's not always that. The comma there, because not all CSV value, not every CSV file you open is separated with a comma. Some are separated with a comma, some are separated with a dot, some are separated with space, some are separated with column or column. So basically the C there is more of like a comma delimiter. So like it means that the file is just separated with a symbol basically. So if you open them up, I think I have a few. So let me see. CSV. Let me see. Yeah, so this is the Netflix data we are trying to open. So I'm going to try to open it with my text editor. It's a bit large, but it works. So you can look at this now. You can see that I have comma. These are all separated with comma. So this is how it looks like anyways. This is how the CSV file looks like. While the first row is signifying the column. Sometimes there's usually no column there. So then yeah, that's the rest. So you can see you have type, title, director. So they are only separated with a comma, only a comma, not comma and space, just a comma. Some are separated with space, some are separated with semicolon, some is colon, but I think it's restricted to the ones I've seen so far is just space, comma, full stop. I don't think I've seen full stop and colon or semicolon. Yeah, but most of it is actually comma. So I think this should be done. Hey, why now? Why is it sending like this? That's cancelled again. Let me see, just have access to it. Okay, let me refresh. Let me see if there's anything inside. Okay, there's Netflix here. So let me select this and select all from Netflix. Alright, and run this. Okay, so I have it. I think it was able to import a few files. Let me see, it's complete. I think it's about 11,800 records. So it didn't come in complete actually. I think it got something happened to it, but I think I can complete it. That's I think there should still be import wizard. Yes, it's still the same 5 parts. I actually want to show you something. Use the existing table. Next there's a place where I can choose the delimiter. Yes, so can you see it here? You can see that here I have 1 2 3 4 5. So these are the delimiter. Tab. I actually don't know what this is called, but this is semicolon, this is column, and this is comma. Okay, there's not even space here. So you can see this is where the delimiter is. Just wanted to show you that. So I think if I it has gone down. I have to close this. But let's leave it like it didn't come in complete. So let's just look at it and see what the Netflix data looks like. So first of all, you can see what the Netflix data look like. We have the ID, that's the unique primary key. We have the type. We have titles. We have director. We have country. We have date added. We have the release year. We also have rating, duration, and listed in. So the listed in is more of like the tags. You can call it tags. So you can see that this is a kind of a documentary. You can also see the duration. Now this duration differs. You can see 90 minutes one season, and they don't correspond actually. But if you come back here, you find out that you have movie and you have TV shows. So we can actually investigate to see, okay, is it that all movies are 90 minutes, like they are structured in this way? Then the season, the TV shows are structured in this way. We have the rating. I don't know the category, but we can see that. You can also see the release year. You can see the dates it was added. So the release year is different from the dates it was added. So the dates it was added to Netflix and the release year. Then the country, the director, title, and the movie type. So we could actually ask some questions from this. I think this is just a single table. Maybe next week. Sorry, in the next class we will go to Cargo and get a complete database and that we can work with. That will be better. So let me see. So show ID, type, title, director, country. Okay, let's do some just a bit of information extraction. For instance, let's see the several categories of movies that we have, right? So does anybody know or have an idea or remember how we can actually do that? Oh, I should just go ahead. No, I don't think I should go ahead. Does anybody have? Okay. Okay, so basically, first of all, you have to select, right? Then we just want to check the type, just the type, which is what we're interested in. But then again, we want to see the distribution. So what we are going to do is we are going to um, group by. So let's say from Netflix, then group by the type. Now we've set our group by the type, but don't forget that group by takes in an aggregate. So we need to aggregate something. So what are we aggregating? We're aggregating the counts. So we are going to aggregate type. Sorry. Type. And can now call type here to see the column type. So what this will do is this one will count the numbers, the records that is being grouped. So this will actually group it. It will take the unique ones, the distinct one, and you can see that. So that's the way. And running that, you can see we have just movie and TV shows. Just, of course, there's another way I'm going to show it, like that's more easier. But this is more of like we need to practice group type. Group type can be a little bit complicated if you don't really understand it. So the reason why I was able to use group by here, after using group by, I had to use count here. If I don't use count here, then it's going to return an error. Oh, it's not even returning an error, it's just grouping it. Okay, that works. So you can see it's even working. But the other one I was going to show us is so if I decided not to use group type, if I just do this, I will have all of this, all the types, all the movies. Then I'll have to bring in the instance. I don't know if you still remember. So select the instance type. We only pick the unique values, and that's just movie and TV show. So I think I should write the other implementation again, which is select type from Netflix, group it by type, and yeah, so this will give you the same thing, these two. So that's another proof, like yeah, they're not one way to achieve something with all these tools. So you can see we already know that we have just two categories, movie and TV shows, right? Now we could also check to see one interesting information would be the director, right? We want to see the number of movies that each director has, that's currently on Netflix, has produced. That's one information that okay, better still, let me just put this and make it so you could just answer the question of the distribution. That's want to know which one is more, which one is less. So you know that there are more movies and there are less TV shows. So that's just that. Now, where was I? I was talking about the directors, right? So we want to see the number of movies that each director has directed. So to do that, what we can do is, sorry, hold on. Okay, can you hear me now? Hello? Oh, okay. So now we want to answer the question of director, right? Which director has more movies? So it's something similar to what we just did with this type. So we could just say select director director um select director, then let me see who's trying to join. Okay, so after selecting director, you count the times that the director is appearing. So this will help us to see the director's name, and this will tell us the counts. Then we pick from where, that's from the Netflix data. Then we group by um, group by. So we are going to be grouped by the director, um, um, then this, and yeah. So here we go. So you can see it's not ordered, right? Some are appearing more than some. So we are just going to sort it, right? So that's order by. Sorry. Order by we are ordering it by this count. So we say order by count of director in descending order. So run this again. Now we are saying something. We are saying not given. Not given is an example of a null value. So it means that there's a lot of non-given directors. So how do you remove this? So we could remove it by saying group by, order by. No, so that's going to come here. So from Netflix, where don't forget the order of operations. I think I talked about this here. So the other operation is select from where, then group by. So you have where on top of all of this. So if I'm going to come back here, I'm going to have where on top. So where director, where director is not equals to, and we can use this is not given. Let me see. I think I could use this. Don't know why it's giving me that. I could use this. This says not. So director is not equals to. So if I come here and I run this now. So you see that not given is out of it, and we have a proper table. Then we could actually limit our results to, let's say, the top 10. So you can see the top 10 movie directors that are currently on our Netflix data, which Rajiv Chilaka is the top, right? So that's one information. So go back to the, usually you're supposed to have our questions down already, so just go ahead and just write them, but we are just moving through. So I think we've worked the type, the title. I don't think there's really much we can do. Assuming we have a review, right? We could check the title. but we've done director. Uh, we've done director. We are currently on country. Okay, we've not done country, so we could check for country too. We could see, okay, which country has the highest, what will I say, demography, where it was released the most. So I'm just going to come here and so let's just check for country. So we use select all. No, sorry, select country. Right, then count of the country from where? From Netflix data. Then from the Netflix data, yeah, group by country, and here we go, and this should give us the distribution. And of course, let's not forget that it's not ordered, so we have to order it. So order by count, sorry, of country. Oh, descending in order. Yeah, so here we go. So you can see we have United States topping the lists. Then we have India, we have UK, we have Pakistan. Once again, we have not given. We need to undo that, and we just have to bring it here. Just call our where statements where country is not equals to not given. Yeah, then we run this again. We could also filter for our top 10, and yeah, so here we go. You can see it. United States is topping by far, followed by India, which is also leading others by far, and we have all other countries following behind. So there's so much we could do, right? So I'm just going to pause here for tonight, and yeah, so I'm just going to pause here for tonight, then we'll pick up from here next week. Yeah, so are there any questions? I think I saved the script already. Sorry. Any questions? Save scripts. Is it not saved already? Okay, let's fix it up. Save scripts. Yeah, so any questions? So I'm going to share the data sets and these scripts. I think the ones we used for today. I saved this as today. I'll change the name to, I'll rename it. Yeah, so any questions? Let me stop the recording.